The journey to precision shooting with your rifle can be a long one, or it can be a shorter one. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. In this video, I want to show you something you can do to make that pathway, that journey that you're going to take to get optimal results with your rifle quicker, shorter, and more enjoyable. It's all about reloading ammunition where you're shooting that ammunition. Now, not everybody is lucky enough to have their shooting facility and their reloading facility on the same premise. So instead of trying to build a shooting range in your backyard, what's easier is to take your reloading setup to the shooting range. And with products like the Buchanan Precision Machine hand loading press, which I got recently, it makes that process that much easier and that much more enjoyable. So in this video, I want to do three things. I want to show you my portable reloading setup. I want to walk you through the portable out in the air, out in the blue sunshine reloading process from start to finish. And then we're going to shoot a little bit of ammunition and talk about some of the related factors. So first, let me walk through with you what it is that I've assembled as kind of a kick-ass mobile reloading setup. First, we have the Buchanan Precision Machine hand reloading press. This press is top quality. There's other hand reloading presses out there. This press is not super cheap, but it's for someone that wants maximum features and maximum quality. And the specific configuration I got actually uses these Hornady lock and load bushings. It's got the bushing installed in the press to accept the lock and load system. And it also deprimes. It uses standard shell holders, and with the bushing system you can use any 7/8 by 14 standard reloading die. So this is what I'm going to be using to deprime, to size. I'm going to prime, off press, and then we'll seat bullets on this hand press as well. I've also got a powder measure. This is the Hornady lock and load powder measure, the one that does not come on the AP press. It's got the manual handle for charging. I brought my powder, and if you're going to be experimenting with powders, obviously you're going to want a small collection of those powders so that you can kind of walk through different scenarios, charge cases with those different powders at different weights. I've also got a trickler because if we're going to be doing really precise load development, we want to make sure that we're spot on with our charge weights. And we're going to validate those charge weights with a scale. This is the Hornady GS350. This has been one of the best scales I've had. I've had it for about 10 years. It's very reliable. It works even after being dropped on the floor. It is an awesome unit, and it's small, it's battery powered, and it takes, I think it's AA batteries. Yeah, it takes 2 AA batteries, which I think is really great because that's the style of batteries that I carry around. Okay, so for priming, I've got the Lee hand priming tool, the new updated one. I did not bring the shell holder kit. This does use different shell holders, but I've got the number 2, which is the 308 case rim. We're going to be loading 243 Winchester today. My Ruger Precision rifle in 243 has felt neglected, and I thought it would be time to get a really killer varmint round dialed in with the Hornady HPBT 87 grain bullet. So I've got CCI BR2 primers. Of course, you can bring multiple primers if that's something that you're experimenting with to get best results. We've got some case lube. This is the Hornady Unique. And then I've got really important Ellie Wilson case gauge in 243. This is going to do 2 things. We're going to make sure that our sizing is appropriate and that we're going to chamber properly. We're also going to check trim length. We could bring a trimmer, and if we did, we'd want to make sure that we had a deburring tool to chamfer the inside and outside of the case mouths. I've also got my brass and my blocks. I've got, this is Starline 243 brass. It's on about its 3rd firing. I've already gone through kind of a 10-shot load development and settled on 35.5 grains of Varget as a great load. So my next thing is to get SD numbers on the velocity for that 35.5 grain Varget load, just to make sure that I'm in the right vicinity in terms of long distance performance. And then I'm also going to look at bullet seating depth, something I haven't experimented with yet. So I've also got digital calipers, and this is what I'm going to use to validate bullet seating depth. Now, if we wanted to get more precise on bullet seating depth and with sizing, specifically with shoulder bump, we would want to have a bullet comparator set like the Hornady set that you can get that uses digital calipers. And then for sizing, we'd want the headspace comparator set so that we can go right off the datum line and check our shoulder setback, our shoulder bump precisely. I'm actually not setting back the shoulder. I'm using a couple dies here. I'm using the L.E. Wilson 243 full length bushing type sizer. I've already dialed in the appropriate bushing by using the standard calculation, which is to take 2 times the neck thickness plus the bullet minus 2/1000 of an inch for the combination of the spring brack of the brass and the optimal bullet tension, which is 1/1000 of an inch. This is a 270 right here. I got a set of 3 of those. And for this Starline brass, the 270 is working great. And of course, when we set this up, we want to tighten it all the way down to the bushing, back it off slightly to allow the bushing to float, and then lock that down. So I've already checked my sizing. I'm also using the Hornady 243 bullet seating die. I like the sliding collar, and it just works really well. You can easily make the adjustment, and you can even add a micrometer stem if that's something that you're looking for. I highly recommend that add-on, actually. I've also got my pad of paper. I've got my 87 grain HPBT bullets. We're going to want to take notes to make sure that we record the data for the charges, the bullet seating lengths, cartridge overall length, any anecdotal information that we want to jot down, like group sizes, recoil, whatever. I did also get this case, which is available from Buchanan Precision Machine. The entire press fits in here. You have to take this longer die off, but most standard dies will fit in there on the press. And I have a duffel bag, which I can fit pretty much all of this stuff in, my portable reloading kit. I also have some towels. These are going to be great because with this L.E. Wilson sizer, we actually don't have an expander ball, so all we need to do is wipe off the outside of the case, and that's easily done with the blue shop towels after we have a particular firing. Okay, so that is an overview of my current portable reloading kit. Let's take a look at the process. And what we want to do is we want to create a case, a cartridge just like this one. This is my sample cartridge, one that I've loaded out here with this setup, and it's what we're going to replicate. Okay, so let's take a look at the in-the-field reloading process end to end. I just took a moment to wipe off these previously fired cases. These have about 2 firings on them, and to spread some lube on the outside of the body and on the case neck. And I've adjusted the die back so that it's just neck sizing predominantly. So I'm going to go ahead and swap out that die. This is what I love about the Hornady lock and load bushings. It's practically instantaneous. So we're going to walk through one case, and this is a rinse and repeat kind of process. So we're going to take a case that's been lubricated, and when we go ahead and squeeze the press handles, this is going to deprime. I just heard the primer fall down in there, and it's going to size, and this is primarily sizing the neck in this particular case. Okay, so we pull this back down. We have our sized case. The next step is going to be to wipe off the case lube. Okay, then we're going to take our hand priming tool. We're going to go ahead and prime the case. I can feel that seat really nice. Check to make sure that we're good. Check our case in the case gauge. We can do this before priming typically, and we're between the 2 steps, the lower step and the upper step. That means we're in the proper size range in terms of the sizing die setup. We can also see here that we have plenty of room to grow with the trim to length of the brass after we've sized. Very important to check that after we've sized, because it's going to grow when you size it typically. Since we're neck sizing, we're not going to get much of that. Let's check our charge real quick. So I'm going to zero out the pan on the scale here. I already know with this particular charge we're going to be plus or minus about 0.1, which is plenty good. And we're just going to kind of double check that right now. Okay, so we're good on our charge weight. If this is going to be a precise part of your load development, you're definitely going to want to charge at least a few tenths under, maybe 0.5 grains under, and then trickle up. In this particular case, I know we're in a stable range, so plus or minus 0.1 is plenty good for what we're going to be doing. Okay, so now we have a charged case. Really like this Hornady Lock and Load powder measure. I need to work a little bit on the portable stand. This is the inline fabrication unit. It's a little bit big for the field. I'd like to find something a little bit smaller, but this does work really well with the clamp that I'm using. Okay, so now we have a charged case. It's time to seat our bullet. Just pop the die out that quickly. Put our Hornady 243 seater in there. Okay, double check. Yes, that's the case that we just charged. You can never be too careful. Grab a bullet. It's gonna sit right on there nicely because it's an HPBT, and we can feel that seating really precisely. So there we go. That's the entire process of reloading ammunition in the field. It's really not hard. Sure, it's gonna take a little bit more time compared to maybe a completely dialed in bench setup because you're gonna have to set up all the gear out here, but it's well worth the time investment. I'm gonna go ahead and go through the rest of these cases. I'm gonna reload a batch of 10. I'm gonna shoot for an SD run here with my MagnetoSpeed V3 chronograph. So I will see you all in just a moment when I'm done with these 10 rounds, and we'll do a little bit of shooting. So I cleared off the shooting bench. I got the chronograph set up. It is time to shoot some groups. Well, I wasn't able to shoot groups because of some wind that I had here, plus a really heavy mirage effect and heat boil through the scope. So my groups were a little bit larger than what I shot last time with the same ammunition, but what I was able to validate this time was my velocity. I'm getting a standard deviation of 9.6 feet per second. That was the last group of 5 that I shot, which is right where we want to be. Still really loving the Ruger Precision Rifle. 243 is a great cartridge, great for varminting, great for competition, great for all sorts of things. And I'll have to say, there's no substitute for being able to load ammunition where you're doing load development and precision rifle shooting. So I would encourage you to find out what kind of setup is going to work for you. If you want the best hand loading press made, take a look at the Buchanan Precision Machine hand press. I would highly recommend the Hornady Lock and Load option with that, and the case is great for portability. I'm gonna have a full write-up. You're gonna wanna check that out if you want more details regarding what I brought to the range and how I loaded my ammunition here. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you don't wanna miss any of the action, metalworking, gunsmithing, shooting, and reloading here on GavinTube, please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.